brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Dr. John Delony, PhD in counseling, #1 best-selling author, and host of the Dr. John Delony Show on the Ramsey Networks. He's my co-host today. Open phones here at 888-825-5225. Well, it's official. Now we get to start saying Merry Christmas, right? I mean, some people start just before Halloween, and then others start right after Labor Day. But I think we're close enough now we can officially say Merry Christmas.
It was the day after Thanksgiving. My son and I were going hunting. It was 4 a.m., and every channel had Christmas music on it. And I was half asleep, and I said, I can't take this. And he said, Dad, in his half asleepness, it's the happiest time of year, isn't it? I was like, man, it is too early for Christmas music. Too early.
The sun's not even up. Todd's in Boston, Mass. Hey, Todd, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure. How can we help?
So I just learned of you a few days ago. My sister listens to you religiously and told me I should call you regarding my situation.
Okay.
So earlier this year, I went with a debt settlement company to handle much of my debt, which is primarily student loans and credit cards. Unfortunately, just recently, I went into default with one of my student loans, and that is through Navient, which is now Muhela. And what they offered me was something that's outside of my budget. And my father is a co-signer on the loan as well, and I'm just trying to find out of ways of how I can negotiate something with Navient to help me make the payments that I can afford, or what other avenues I can take.
Wow. So this is a federally insured student loan, right?
This is a signature student loan.
They all have signatures.
Private.
They all have signatures.
Yes.
Is it private?
Oh, it is private.
Oh, okay. All right. Good news. Okay. All right. Well, lucky for you, we have actually a sponsor that refinances defaulted, privately held student loans. So they'll buy it from Navient and refinance it and set it up where you can make the payments. You got a pencil?
Yeah. One moment. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Y Refi, the letter Y, REFY.com. And so
okay.
I'll go ahead and give you the mechanics because they've been advertising with us for a while. We send people over there. But the mechanics are they buy the loan because it's defaulted at a discount. And then so they don't have full face in it. They pay less than that because you're not paying it. You're not credit worthy, right? So that's not a loan anybody would want to buy. That the guy's deadbeating on it, right? So they're going to buy it at a discount, and then that enables them to restructure it and put an interest rate on it that's low, and they still end up making good money on it. But you get the deal of the century. So it's a win-win. Okay. It's a win-win for everybody. Even Navient, and I really don't care about Navient. Never would I try to help them win with anything. But it turns out they get money on a loan that they thought was bad, so they're happy. Y-Refi buys it at a discount, and then you are paying them a reasonable interest rate, so they're happy, and you get a payment you can afford, so you're happy. So that part's taken care of. Now, the rest of this... basically, what these debt settlement companies have done and they did to you, is they quit paying any of your payments. So all of your credit cards are in default, right?
Most of them, yeah.
No, they should all be. How long did you pay payments to the debt settlement company?
I did make payments, correct.
Yeah. How many?
Since May. So I'd say probably close to 6 or 7 payments.
They haven't paid any of your credit cards since you signed up with them until they work a deal with each credit card company. And again, they're in default, so they're working a bargain with them. If you weren't in default, they put you there.
Correct.
That's why we tell people not to use these companies, because it actually does more harm to your credit than even filing Chapter 13 bankruptcy. So how many credit cards do you have?
Right now I have 4.
And what is the total balance of credit card debt?
With all those, just shy of 35 grand.
Okay, and what do you make, sir?
I make per month net pay. I make just over 6 grand a month.
Okay. Are you married?
I am.
Okay. Does she work outside the home?
She does.
What does she make?
She probably makes less than what I do. I'd say about 3 grand.
Okay, so you got like 10 grand coming in a month. So we ought to be able to clear up 35 pretty quick once we get our crap together. Agreed?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is awesome. So what you do, quit paying the debt settlement company. Just opt out. No more money. I'm going to take the Navients, I'm going to take them to Refi, and I'm going to take these 4 credit cards and work them myself. Now, here's what you're going to have to do because they're all in default. You have to lump sum, no payments, lump sum, settle each one of them. So what I want you to do is I'm going to put you on a budget, you and your wife working together, you're married, and we have to clean up this freaking mess that we have. We're going to get the student loans on a payment. We're going to quit making payments to the debt settlement company. We're going to live on beans and rice and beans, because the stress of this is overwhelming and it needs to be out of my life. I can't build wealth in the middle of this, and I make 10 grand a month. We ought to be able to win, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you're with me on this. Good. So now we're going to get you on a budget. We're going to sign you up for Financial Peace University and show you how to handle money. I'm going to put you in every dollar. Now, here's the way you work the debt off on the credit cards. Take the smallest one. What is it? Do you know?
Yeah, smallest one is just shy of 4 grand.
Okay. So you need to put together in your budget $1,000, $1,500, and call the smallest one. Understand that credit card collectors are the dumbest humans on the planet, and you can tell they're lying if their mouth is moving. They would have a good job if they weren't. That's a horrible job. It's a high turnover job. So you're going to be talking to people whose parents are cousins, all right?
Okay.
You got it? I mean, you got to understand this because it's warfare.
No, I do.
It's warfare.
No.
And so you're going to try to talk to them, and they're going to blah, 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 and you're just going to have to hang up. And then you got to go talk to them again. So I'm offering you $1,500 as settlement in full. And you keep beating that drum until you get them to take it and say, if you don't take it, I've got other cards. I'm going to take this money and go to one of the other cards. So you got about 5 seconds right now. 4, 3, 2. Are you going to take it because I'm hanging up? And you just got to have some fun with this, okay? And it's gonna take like 10, 15 phone calls per card, and you'll settle them for $0.25 on the dollar. Lump sum. Here's the 2 rules. Remember these 2 rules. Do not give them any money unless you have the agreed amount in writing. An email is fine. It's got to be in writing from the credit card company or from the collections agency, whichever it is, that they are accepting $1,500 as settlement in full on this $4,000 debt. And then, that's rule number 1. No money. Not in writing, no money. They lie. The second thing is, no electronic access to your checking account. We'll just take it from your account. They'll take $4,000 out of your account. No. You send them a prepaid debit card that has just that amount only on it. And then you go get a different prepaid debit card for the next one. And you keep them out of your account, and you don't deal with them except in writing, and you treat them all like they're crooks because they are. Hope that helps. This is The Ramsey Show.
George, I went my whole life avoiding being on the internet. And now everything I do in my life, my professional life, my personal life, everything's on the internet. And so now identity theft protection means the world to me and my family.
And I'm the resident techie millennial here, so I've been on the internet since before it existed, and I've actually had my identity stolen before, but good news, we both have identity theft protection from Xandr. They monitor our personal info on hundreds of thousands of databases, and they alert us of any suspicious activity.
And that's everything from social security number activity to home title monitoring and more.
So the key is identity theft does happen, unfortunately, but if it happens, Xandr handles everything, up to $2 million in stolen funds protection and white glove service to restore your life back to normal.
I don't understand how the internets work. I don't understand what's going on in this little cybery world. And that's why I'm so grateful for Xander. They've got me and my family's back. They've got you and your family's back. And it gives me one less thing to worry about, one less thing to be anxious about, and it lets me be a dad that sleeps at night.
Yes, and all you got to do is go to Xander.com or call 800-356-4282 to protect your family with the most complete ID theft protection available. That's Xander.com.
Dr. John Delony, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. #1 best-selling author, PhD in counseling. Lucy's with us. Lucy's in Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Lucy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
I got a real head scratcher for you. I was wondering if you could give me advice on a financial decision that I'm trying to make. I'm a single mom of 4 children, and I wonder if I can purchase a home with going through a divorce.
Okay, so you're in the process of becoming a single mom with 4 kids.
Yeah.
What do you make, hon?
I'm a registered nurse.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I make like $50+ an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm working PRN now since I'm going through marital issues and so forth.
Yeah, I got you.
Anyways,
So obviously you all are separated.
yes.
Has the divorce been filed?
No.
Why?
Because I have an appointment next week with the other lawyer because the other lawyer said it was a conflict of interest to hear my case. So I'm presuming that he has got that lawyer, and so I'm going through another lawyer and start all over again.
Yep. Okay, good. Yeah, so no, you should rent until you get this final. Because if you buy something in the middle of the divorce, it's going to throw that property into the middle of the divorce discussion because you're still married.
Yes.
And so you need to wait until the divorce is final.
Okay, all right, so the divorce is final within whatever. And I have another issue. I own 2 other properties because I have read your book, and I've paid off my mortgage in 5 years. And what do I do with this property that I live at now? I paid over $150,000. I paid it off in 8 years.
Well, is your husband going to have claim to it? Your ex? You're going to split the estate?
I'm going to try because it was my money that went into the estate. And I know that you say marriage, you equally 50-50, but he didn't contribute anything to my financial decision.
That will depend on Virginia law, and I don't know the law in Virginia, okay? They may force you to split it with him anyway. I don't know. But obviously you're going to ask for and have receipts and prove that he didn't pay on it, you paid on it. And so you didn't own it before you were married, did you?
We bought it like 3 months after we got married.
Yeah, okay. So it's marital property, and you'll have to talk to your divorce attorney about that. So what I want you to do is get clear of the divorce, and then you'll know what you own. And you'll know how much money you've got as a result to put into the next deal. So you could take that house and the other property, sell them, put the pile of money you get from that out of the divorce in a pile, put some other money with it, and buy you a house. But you need to be clear of this so that the same problem you're getting ready to have with this house, you don't have with the new one, which is arguing over it.
We're not. Well, that's the head scratcher. I live right beside of his parents.
Don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to get out of it, but I want my money that I put into it, but I'll probably never see it.
You need to see a lawyer, honey.
That's right. And I'll tell you, one of the things that always trips people up when they enter into a divorce is they have an imaginary number that they think they're going to get. And it's almost never that number. It's almost never even close to that number. And so then people think they're getting screwed. And really, they made up a number. So in your head, like you're talking to me and Dave, you bought a house as a married couple. And you might have married a deadbeat who did nothing, and he was a joke and a crook and all that. But the court will say, y'all bought that house together. And so in your head, you might be thinking, I get $150,000 in this sales, and I'm just going to go buy a house. You may get 65. You may get 75. And if you, I'm just telling you, if you think that other
you don't
money's
know,
yours,
honey. You don't know until this is done.
So you're going to cause yourself more angst by imagining what comes next, is what I'm saying.
You just don't know until this is done. So the answer to your question is you can either sit right there until the divorce is final, and the divorce decree will tell you, the judge will tell you what's happening with the house you're living in and the other property. And then based on that, I'm selling that house. If you've gained control over it, you obviously don't want to be next door to his parents. We want to leave, and we want to take our cash and go start a life. Chapter 2.
That's right.
Encore.
Yeah, and I think if I could tell people one thing when they're going through something hard, whether it's a divorce, somebody just passed away, is slow down. Don't do anything for 6 months. Don't do anything for 9 months. If you got to get away from mom and dad's house, go rent a place, but don't do anything permanent for 6 to 9 months.
After.
Yes.
But in the middle of it right now, you need to do something. Yeah. You need to go get an attorney, and you need to get this filed, and you need to start learning about what law is in your state, and your attorney can tell you. There's zero chance you're getting this. Or he or she can advise you. I think we got a real shot at that. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you what's going on. But you're going to get new information that you don't have yet today, and you do not need to buy a house in the middle of this. Yeah. If you need to move out of that house because of relationship problems now, then just go rent the cheapest thing you can rent until you get the other side of the divorce. Because here's what happens. We get in divorce situations, a normal human being will get their emotions woven into and create this false sense of justice in the math. That's what John's talking about. And it doesn't work that way. A friend of mine that does divorce recovery work and counseling says a divorce turns a marriage into a business transaction. It's all about pluses and minuses. Plus for this asset, minus for this debt. And it's about pluses and minuses and 401ks and what ends up on which side of the balance sheet, the ledger, and then the judge signs off, and then the money is dispersed. And all the emotions and all the what's right or what's wrong and the justice and all, it doesn't really come up usually. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
So
real
that's the deal. So you got to walk through it. So please get the other side of this before you buy something. If you've got to move, if you don't have to move, sit there. But if you've got to move, then go rent something. Rent the cheapest thing you can rent until you get the other side of this. But go get an attorney like yesterday.
I've seen this several times, Dave, where somebody has an imaginary number about what they think they're going to get, and then they do what she's talking about. They go buy a house based on in a couple of months I'm going to get $200,000,
and then they get
and you
20.
get a check for 60, or 40, and you're up a creek, right?
Yep.
So just get after it. And the other thing, Dave, I love that you mentioned this. So it seems to be a new trend. This is new coming up over the last 3 or 4 years. It's people getting divorced, but not trying to do it just handshaky. Like we're just separating.
We're friends.
We're just moving on. And if you've made a legal binding agreement, you have to unbind that agreement.
There's state law.
That's right.
You're screwed.
So call an attorney, and if you're moving out, call an attorney and go through the process and get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted and move on.
Shut all accounts down immediately that have both names on them.
Yes, absolutely.
So he can't run up debt right now that you end up being responsible for because it's got your name on it.
I put a freeze on my credit so that somebody couldn't get in there with my Social Security number and open up some credit cards and.
Yep, and all of that.
Yeah.
So we'll just take that just the last second here and remind you guys. Okay, so here's the deal. When you sign up for a car loan or a credit card loan, that is a contract. You and your husband, folks, if you're out there, you and your wife are on that together. If both of you sign up for it, it's in both names. It's a contract that both of you have signed. The judge comes in, the divorce decree in probate court, and says, I'm going to give this visa bill to the husband. Okay? That means that judge has told the husband he has to pay it or he has to face that judge. That judge does not have the power to undo the contract. So just because he handed the visa bill to the husband and said, I want you to pay it, the wife is still on that bill. So when he doesn't pay it, they sue both of you. And you can't go, but the judge said the judge does not have the power in divorce court to undo contract law. They don't have that power. Only bankruptcy court has that power. And so, no, you know, well, the judge said to give him the house, so I gave him the house and he didn't pay it. Now they're suing me. Right. Because you believe that crap. You're still on the contract. So you've got to be completely released from everything by getting it paid off and moved and that kind of stuff in the process. That's why this is a business transaction now. This is the Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, it's Rachel Cruz. Just about everything costs more these days, and healthcare is no exception. So if you're looking at your healthcare options during open enrollment, be sure to check out Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is not health insurance. It's a biblically based health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families just like yours with healthcare costs. CHM is affordable, aligns with your values, and gives you more options for your healthcare. And you can join at any time, including open enrollment. Find out more and join today at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget.
Dr. John Delony, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host. Elliot is in Canada. Hi, Elliot. Welcome to the Ramsey Show. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So I'm hoping you can help. So earlier this year, my wife left me. I've got a daughter who's about 18 months. We are separated. We're not legally divorced. She used to handle all of the money in the house. So I'm just kind of figuring things out for myself now. Make a decent wage. I make about $73,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But I find I don't really have pennies to rub together by the end of the month. Like I'm not really saving anything. So I'm just wondering if you can help me find maybe ways to optimize that.
Good question. Yeah, that would be a normal thing. Left to itself, the savings never occurs naturally, unless somebody's just like a savings freak. But most people, if you just don't pay attention at the end of the month, or really even before the end of the month, the money's gone. Mm-hmm. And so the only way to make the money behave is before the month starts, write every dollar down and where it's going to go, and then make it go where you wrote it down to be going. You're in charge of it, but you need to tell it what to do, because what's happening is in your emotional state, because your heart is broken, and you're the daddy of a little baby, and you're dealing with all this, in the middle of all of that, you're not even paying attention to the money. It just leaves, which would be, I mean, that's what most people would do in your situation. But the answer is you've got to pay attention.
When you're struggling to make payments at the end of the month, is this you having sat down and done the math and realized I don't make enough money to live where I live and do what I do now that I'm a single dad? Or are you still sending money to your ex? I mean, what kind of final situation are you in?
My ex. So, I mean, I'm currently paying about 40% of daycare based on how much she makes, how much I make. It's not like I've put a budget out for myself, and you know, it says I have $300 left over at the end of the month, but that never seems to happen. I have like a recurring investment. I was like, I might as well start putting something away if I can. So I was just like, I'll do $10 a week. It's going to be something like just won't really notice. And I just have that going into, you know, investing in stocks and dividend reinvestment and all of that. So that's like
okay. So what happened was you wrote down a budget and you never looked at it again till the end of the month.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And then you went, wow, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to give you I'm going to tell you to do a written game plan, every dollar on paper, on purpose before the month begins. And then before you spend anything out of a certain category, you'd go back and check that category and make sure you still got money left in it. And make sure if you're spending time eating out because you're lonely, or you're spending time doing whatever that costs money because you're lonely, make sure you recognize that and you're writing it down.
Right.
Because, I mean, you're going through a heartbreak right now. This is a hard time emotionally. And that hard time will show up in the money if you don't get on the other side of it and crack the whip on it. So what you're facing is a very normal reaction in a situation like you're in, but that doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it like, because it doesn't feel right, and that's why you called.
Yeah, and Dave, I don't think you can overstate that. When your world blows up, it's easy to feel like the rules don't apply anymore.
Right.
But they do.
Right.
Math does, right? Math keeps going, and the kid still needs to eat. I remember a close friend of ours, her husband left her pregnant with number 3, and
oh, God.
And I remember asking a couple years later, how'd you make it? And that her answer was so instructive. She just said, I had to, right? And that meant I have to get up and do the next thing, the next right thing every day. And so the next right thing for him is to begin to put some sort of structure to this chaos. His world blew up. His wife left him and this little one, and no one has that in their head even, right? It happened. Let's get a hold of our money. Let's get a hold of our calendar. Let's start there. And if you can prove yourself over 30 days that I can stick to this thing and say no, then you can do it again 60 days. You can do it again 90 days. And then you start asking yourself, is this the job? Is this the apartment? Is this the house? Is this the daycare center? And go from there.
But I guess, I don't know, you know a lot more about this than I do, that it feels like grieving a broken heart or grieving a loss of some kind somehow gives us permission to let our body go, to let our mind get on junk food, binge watch stupid stuff on Netflix instead of actually feeding our mind something that tightens it up, and just let our money go.
Yeah, I think the difference is I don't think grief is doing nothing. I think grief is active. And if you're actively grieving something, if you're writing letters, if you are choosing your thoughts, if you're doing the next right thing, then that's an action. I think what most people mistake grief for is, I'm just going to draw the shades and do nothing.
Yeah, what I'm saying is when something bad comes at me, it's like you said, gives you permission. And so,
yeah.
I don't need to exercise.
That's right.
I don't need to go to church.
Right.
I don't need to watch my money.
Right.
Because something bad happened to me, so now I have permission to sit on my butt.
One of my friends who works in the fitness industry said, we often treat diets like you blow your diet. And he goes, you get a flat tire, and then you're like, whatever. And he said, it's like pulling out a knife and going and slashing the other 3 tires. He goes, instead of just having one tire off, right? So your world blows up. This is the time to actually stop and really double down on that stuff.
Double down on everything else.
Yes. This is when you need to
You've got to control the things you can control.
That's it,
and
man.
That marriage blowing up's not one of them.
No, that's happened.
Yeah.
So let's do these other things so that we can deal with the hard truth.
And what that means is like hardcore, like you were completely energetic and hopped up on caffeine, hardcore budgeting. I'm going to write this down, and I'm going to pinch it, and I'm going to pinch it some more, and I'm going to, and $300? No. How about $1,000?
$1,000, that's right.
At the end of every month. And I'm going to start putting that towards something. And then I'm going to work some extra. And then I'm going to lean into these things, and that's the way I'm going to process while I'm going through this, rather than using this as a reason. I was going to say an excuse, but even a reason for taking our foot off the gas and just letting the car go in circles.
It's your choose your heart, right?
Yeah.
You can choose to double down on your budget. I will force myself to exercise even though I don't feel like getting out of bed, and even though it's 44 below in Canada where he is. Or I'm going to choose the heart of just getting to the end of every month and getting further and further underwater.
Yeah, human nature is just so interesting when we think it through, because doing this for 35 years, I can tell you that the number of times I talk to someone, they go, well, everything was going good, and I went through a divorce, and then I went $40,000 in debt, and I gained 40 pounds. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, now you got to go clean that up.
Yes.
So, what you said is, before you do that, go ahead and not do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Or find an activity, find a Xanax, if you will, find a distraction that's not going to be catastrophic, right? So often I tell folks, you get one. So I hear from husbands who come home, they're like, dude, I just want to veg out. A lot of guys will go sit in the bathroom for an hour and a half, and they'll just scroll their phone, or they'll disappear. And the pushback is, you need to be present in this house. You need to be around. Okay, I need a break. And I always tell them, okay, you get one. You want 30 minutes? She's going to keep the kids away for 30 minutes. You get 30 minutes. After that, you got to put that thing down and be present. And so, yes, when your world blows up, it is hard to get out of bed. It is. Okay, so you get 10 minutes. You get 30 minutes to lay here and be sad. And then you got to get up. You get one. And then you got to go do your thing. Like whatever that thing is, you got to go do the next right move that you know is good for you.
So a buddy of mine came to an event that John and I did with Mike Rowe. Mm-hmm. We're doing it for business guys. And John, one of the things John did was a talk during that event. And choose your heart. Decide, okay, you're either going to be overweight or you're going to exercise and manage your caloric intake.
Both of those are hard.
You're either going to be broke or you're going to manage your budget and work some extra and sell some stuff and get your butt under control, right? Choose your heart. One of them, they're both hard. You might as well choose which one on purpose rather than let it happens to you. A friend of mine sitting there, he's lost 150 pounds.
That's so amazing.
I was with him Monday night.
That's like 2 George Camels.
Yeah. Well, more.
2.5, yeah.
More, yeah.
yeah. That's so amazing. Choose your heart, right?
Choose your heart. And I said, what do you do? And he goes, stinking Delony talk, man. Choose my heart. He goes, I've been choosing to be fat, and I decided I wasn't going to be. Like, that's what he told me. Wow. This is The Ramsey Show. You've been gazelle intense, you've eaten more beans and rice than you knew existed, and now you're ready to make your biggest investment better. Blinds.com is a great way to dress up a room or your entire home. Whether you're comfortable with do-it-yourself projects or you don't even know what a Phillips head screwdriver is, well, trust Blinds.com to take care of you like Ramsey would. You can do the measuring and installation yourself, or you can let Blinds.com's professionals handle everything for you. Blinds.com offers a completely hassle-free experience. Count on them to deliver stylish window treatments from premium brands without the premium markup. You'll never have to deal with pushy salespeople in your home just to get a quote. But you can count on free shipping, free samples, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee so that you can rest easy. That's why we've recommended Blinds.com for over 10 years. Get 45% off site-wide for a limited time at Blinds.com. That's Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply. Merry Christmas, folks. So, I don't understand how on Thursday it's still Cyber Monday. I'm confused about all of this.
I saw a great internet thing from Lecrae. It was like a confession video, and I thought, oh no, man, did he cheat on his wife or something? And it's like, I'm so sorry, but I said it was good, the Cyber Monday sale, and it's just going to keep going for a while. It's like this big confession.
Well, apparently we're doing the same thing, so I don't know if we need to turn it into a confession or not.
Confession. But
the bad news is that Cyber Monday is not only on Monday. The good news is you can still get a bargain on stuff. So there you go. So hit RamseySolutions.com/store. You can get John's Questions for Humans decks. They're on sale for $12 right now. Get you ready for the holidays. You can have questions for the humans during the holidays, and you might see some humans during the holidays. The Total Money Makeover book's $12. The audio books out there are $8. Building a Non-Anxious Life, John's #1 bestseller, is $12. Check it all out at the continuation of the Cyber Monday sale. RamseySolutions.com/store.
It's just to keep it going.
Just keep her going. Just keep her going. Travis is in Grand Rapids. Hey, Travis, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Dave?
Better than I deserve. How can I help?
So this is my question. Right now, I'm driving to work, and it's costing me quite a bit of money because I drive a 3/4-ton pickup truck. I'm planning on buying a cheap little gas sipper 4-cylinder car. My question is, when I do buy that car, and this truck is totally mechanically sound, nothing wrong with it, has high miles. Do I park it in my garage, keep it for a spare, or do I sell it and invest the money?
Do you have debt?
No, I have no debt.
Okay. How much money do you have in savings?
10,000.
Okay. How much in your investments?
Well, I just started investing.
Good.
And only like 3,000 right now. I'm only 24
so what do you
years
make?
old.
You're only how old?
I'm 24 years old.
Okay. All right.
I make $30 an hour, by the way.
Yeah, good for you. Okay. So you're going to buy a cheap little car because the 3/4's killing you on gas. Pretty simple, right?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I love having a truck. I've had a truck most of my life. I drove a truck to work today, okay? So I'm a truck guy. Let's just put that in the parentheses in the answer here, all right? However, if I were 23 in your situation, I would not keep a spare car as an investment of any kind. Now, later on, you know, when you're a millionaire and you're 33 because you keep following our stuff and you want to have a spare truck sitting around, I'll be your guy because it'll be a small percentage of your world. But right now, I mean, that truck will bring how much money?
Probably 5,000.
Okay, if I put $5,000 in the middle of the table and you didn't own the truck, would you go buy a truck for a spare? No. The only reason you're keeping it is because you like it.
Right, and, well, if I'm buying a cheap car, and if that does go down on me, I will have a backup.
You don't have a backup now. You have a $5,000 truck.
Right. Yeah. Yep, that does make sense, I guess.
If I were you, I'd sell the truck, promising myself that I'm going to become wealthy and drive whatever the flip I want to drive later. Because I'm not worried about the gas myself. I mean, I drove a Raptor R over here. The thing drinks gas like, I mean, you have to stop at every gas station on the way.
It gets 4 miles to the gallon.
It gets 4 gallons. Yeah, it gets 4 gallons to the mile. But yeah. But I don't give a rip. You know, that's the difference.
Yeah.
So, but I'm in a position. But when I was broke, I remember being broke in 23. It wasn't 20 minutes ago, it feels like. And so, yeah, you don't need that. You don't need that extra weight on you. But you just like the truck. I don't blame you for that.
I tried this when I was broke to have a spare little, I inverted it. I had an old truck that I liked driving around, but I had a little zippy card to get around. And it was when it came up for registration.
Oh, yeah, and dadgum insurance.
I did the math in insurance, and it was costing me about $75 a month that I didn't have. And so this paid-for car that I had in the driveway was costing me money that was my light bill, and that's when I was like, I got to sell it.
Yeah, so that's what I would do. But again, it's not a permanent decision for the rest of your life. It's what you're doing right now at your stage at 23. Later on, get you whatever you want to get when you got some money, dude. Live like no one else. Later, you can live and give like no one else. Alan's in Seattle. Hi, Alan. How are you?
I'm doing much better than I deserve, Dave.
Good. How can I help?
Well, I have done so well. I started doing Dave Ramsey about 5 years before Dave Ramsey started doing Dave Ramsey. When I discovered you on the radio in the 90s, I said, I'm already doing that. This is great. It was confirmation from what I was already doing.
Well, it's good when a couple of geniuses can meet up.
Old geniuses.
Hey,
Jeez.
Careful. That's where that genius stuff comes from.
So now I'm 68 years old. I survived a bout of cancer this year, so I'm a little tighter than I used to be. But I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. My net worth is $5.5 million. I've got about 2.9 of that in the stock market in mutuals. I got about $200K in cash, and I'm living in a house that's worth $1.5 million in Seattle with the lake view. I mean, it's just I'm doing so much better than I ever dreamed.
Good for you, brother.
I can't believe it, and I'm
proud of you.
It because I never spent more money than I made.
There you go.
It was just obvious to me. You make so much, you spend less, and you save. So that's where I am now. So now that I'm 68 and I'm getting a little tighter. I've been retired for a long, long time, and I'd spend most of my time doing volunteer work when I do anything. Anyway, I've got a duplex up. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive from here, and it's worth between $800K and $1 million. And it's bringing in about $50K a year. It's increasing in value by about $50K a year. So its net worth, in value is about $100K a year. And I'm just getting tired of managing it because, as you know, real estate isn't passive. Every year something happens. One of the tenants moves out. We've got to turn it around. Or we get a water leak, or something happens, and I told my wife, I said, I'm tired of managing this thing.
Got it. So what's your question, Alan?
Well, do I sell the place and get a REIT to just, be done with it, or do I get a professional management company to
Professional
do it
management company's not going to make vacancy and repairs go away.
Well, I know that.
Both of those things are still going to be there.
Financial.
Yeah,
right.
if the vacancy and the repairs are what are driving you nuts, those aren't going to leave. Professional management company will just handle the grief associated with those two things, but not the money. And so you're going to give up a little money in order to have someone else deal with the tenant, deal with the repairman, and those kinds of things, and deal with the vacancy. But no one cares when it's empty as much as you do. So that's up to you. If you want to go that route, that's fine. But just look for the right thing out of it. It sounds like you're tired of being a landlord. It's what it sounded like to me. And so I think I am probably getting out of it, and I might get into a different kind of a property that doesn't require as much active management, something that's a little newer, that kind of a thing. Or, like you said, just buy a REIT, drop that $1 million that you're talking about there into a REIT, and that's fine.
What's a REIT, Dave?
A real estate investment trust. It's basically a mutual fund for real estate, is how it functions. And so many, many, many Allens out there put money in, and they buy a bunch of different properties, and the cash flow from those properties and the increase in value of those properties give you your rate of return. And most of the REITs are paying about like a good growth stock mutual fund, about 10 or 12%. A good one is. In the old days when they first started, they were fee heavy and they didn't do well net. Nowadays, they're valid.
So you just own a whole bunch of pieces, small pieces of a whole bunch of houses?
Just like you do when you buy a mutual fund, you own a whole bunch of pieces of bunch of stocks.
Pieces of companies, yeah.
Bunch of stocks, yeah. Cool. Same thing. That puts this hour of the Ramsey Show in the books. Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create actual amazing relationships. Dr. John Delony, PhD in counseling, Ramsey personality, host of the Dr. John Delony Show, and #1 best-selling author. He's my co-host today. Jared is with us in Phoenix. Hi, Jared. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing better than I deserve.
Good. What's up?
Well, my dad passed away a few years ago, and he left us a very sizable estate to my brother and I.
What is a sizable estate? How much money?
My brother and I probably ended up with $3 to $4 million each.
That's sizable. Okay, I'll agree with you on that.
And he taught me to be debt free at a young age. So I've built up my own my own retirement up to about $750,000 anyway. So it wasn't that I needed the inheritance, but
You were already a millionaire.
I was working on it. Yeah.
Well, you had other savings on top of the 750, so you were there. You had a house, probably.
I've had a very blessed life.
Yeah, good for you.
So the conundrum that I have is that he was married a second time. So I have step siblings, and one of the steps had mentioned that I should share because he left it to my brother and I, and not the other steps.
Now, the steps are not his kids.
Correct.
They were his wife's from a previous marriage, and it was his second marriage,
Correct.
and so he became the stepdad. I'm just making sure I got the exact connection. So they have absolutely no blood connection to him whatsoever.
Correct, and they're adults.
How long were they married?
16 years.
Okay.
Oh, so they were adults. He didn't raise these kids.
No, he waited till he said that he didn't want to get married until everybody was out of the house. They dated for a considerable amount of time before
So they
that.
in no way even looked at him as a father figure.
Bye, Felicia.
Well, this step doesn't have a good relationship with her father, and she did kind of look at him for advice and so forth.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
And he was good to their kids too.
I bet he was.
To the steps.
Okay, so she
But
calls you up and says, I want some money?
No, I'm having problem. My brother has passed away since then, and he was in the middle of a divorce, so I'm having problems with his wife that was divorcing my brother, and I mentioned that to her, and during that conversation, she got upset because of the numbers involved. And she started crying and saying, I can't talk with you about this, and I just really... I just don't understand why we can't all just share. And
Because we're not communists?
But what do you say to that?
Nothing.
Nothing. That's not your fault.
You don't say anything. Yeah.
You say, you know what? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You know, listen, I care about you, and I'll be here to emotionally be your step, whatever I am, and that kind of stuff. But I understand that this is hurtful to you, but gosh, I'm so sorry. And I just leave it at that.
Because it's not
so
about
I shouldn't
you.
feel bad about this.
No, you didn't do anything. What'd you do?
wrong.
Why would you feel bad? What'd you do?
Well, not that I did do something, but that that I'm in a better situation than she is, and it just she's making.
You
me
didn't
feel
harm
guilty.
her in that process. Your father had money, and your father decided to leave his money to his two sons. That is a very normal act. Had he left some to the stepchildren, that would have been unusual.
Step adult kids.
Yeah, that were never in the house that he lived in.
He didn't adopt them, did he?
No, they were
No,
adults.
Yeah.
no, their father's still alive.
Yeah. So no, I mean that's. This poor girl's just got emotional issues on her own. I mean, I can't talk to you. You got too much money that I thought I needed some of. I mean, come on. That's her.
Okay, well,
No,
and
I
especially-
don't feel guilty at all. And I'm not going to be mean about it. I'll be kind to her. And your dad loved her. He'd be gentle with her, and you're going to be gentle with her. But your dad didn't leave her any money. And he was closer to her than you are.
we're pretty close.
Your dad was closer to her than you are. He married her mother.
All right. Well, I appreciate the vote of confidence and
Yeah.
that I was doing the right thing. And
So were the assets of you and your brothers intermingled?
Some of them were. There were just a couple of things, but my brother and I got that worked out.
So how are you involved in the divorce then, and his death and so forth?
Because I'm his trustee.
Oh, geez, you're the executor of his will.
Well, she sidestepped that and got the I forget what it's called when you're the she became in lack of terms the executor because the will hadn't been put in place. so she's kind of in charge of the estate, but I'm in charge of the trust because I was the trustee. So, yeah, that's a whole nother mess.
I bet Thanksgiving dinner's amazing at your house.
Yeah, no, not anymore. This chick's on the out. She was on the out before he died.
Yes, she
oh, my
was.
gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, my
It's like,
goodness
I
gracious.
get to make the rules, but I've got the money.
But I get to make the rules. No.
But I get to make the
you don't.
rules. Not
No,
really.
You don't. You're like, you were almost the ex-wife. You keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's what I figured
The reason
out.
we were going to put an X in front of your name, kiddo.
How the Fed uses the road money. Like, we're states. We can do what we want. That's cool. You want roads? Okay, we'll do what we'll do what you say. Oh, man.
So, hey, guys. Wow. Jared, you do whatever you want to do, honey. But here, bottom line is, it's back to the stepsister thing or whatever she is. If you were to give her some money, it's not going to make her okay. She was not okay before. She will be not okay after. Because this is not about the money and it's not about you. So you can't fix her with a check.
Right.
It's a waste of money.
And even, I mean, y'all call each other what you want to call each other. That's your family's business. I don't even know this qualifies as a stepsister.
It's not. I mean,
it's
well, I guess it is.
It's it's an adult child of someone your dad married, right? But that's a separate life. It's a separate world. And maybe y'all are close now, and that's wonderful and great and good. But I always like to think back on these situations as if my dad was here and I've got a decision to make, what would bring him joy, right, with this money he left me?
Well, and he already decided what he wanted to do with his money.
Right. He made that choice.
She was sitting there when he wrote the will.
Right.
I mean, she was on the planet at that point.
Yeah.
This is not like something that just, I didn't know.
Right.
You know, Dad already clearly said what he wanted to have happen.
Yes, behavior's a language. He was loud and clear.
Yeah. Yeah. And he didn't say he was mad at her.
No.
He just said she wasn't his.
And you don't know what she's already left them. Who knows if she paid for her college or her kids' college. You don't know any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. She just saw some huge numbers and says, I want some of that.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah. There you go. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey everybody, stop what you're doing. Helix, the makers of the best mattresses in the universe, has a great sale happening right now. And I have struggled with sleeping on crummy mattresses my whole life, and Helix has been the answer. Sleeping on my Helix mattress has transformed my rest, and I'm getting into new levels of deep, refreshing sleep. And if you ever hear me talk about Helix, I say this all the time. Everyone in my immediate family sleeps on a Helix mattress now. And my family is all different, just like you all are different. And because everyone sleeps in their own unique way, Helix has created different mattress models designed for everyone, like side sleepers and stomach sleepers and back sleepers, everyone. And if your spine needs a little extra love, they have mattresses for you too. Plus, Helix offers a 100-night trial, and all Helix mattresses come with either a 10 or 15-year warranty. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get online and take the Helix Sleep Quiz, just like I did. It's going to help you find the perfect mattress for your sleep preferences in under 2 minutes. And here's the best part. Right now, Helix is offering our listeners exclusive Cyber Monday savings. 25% off all mattress orders plus a free bedding bundle. Go to helixsleep.com/Ramsey for details and to save 25% off. That's Helix, Helix, helixsleep.com/Ramsey. With Helix, better sleep starts right now.
Dr. John Delony, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. So I ran out of time and we ran into the break on the dysfunctional stepsister, dad left money to his own boys discussion. And I was actually having a talk with one of our team members before the show. Christian in here and I were talking about a dysfunctional succession plan that's blown up in the public eye that he's aware of. And he was asking me, how do you avoid that? So let's go back to that particular thing and say, how do you avoid this? Okay. So there's two broken things in that call. One is the stepkids had no knowledge. And so once the daughter got knowledge of how much money, then her feelings were hurt. And her reaction was, I can't even talk right now. You need to give me some of this money, right?
Yeah.
The other broken thing was his brother, who had received $3 million. He and his brother had some of that intertwined. They were able to untangle that, so his brother was standalone. And then his brother starts going through a divorce, and instead of making sure he had a completed will, his will was incomplete, so now his soon-to-be ex-wife has stuck her nose into it and is screwing that up. Both of these are poorly handled estate planning, okay? So every one of you need a detailed will, but here's the important part that is left out of the first one of these things with the stepkids. Have a reading of the will or a discussion with the parties that think they might be involved. You can either do it in one room or a series of rooms. I don't care. Have the courage to tell people what it says while you're alive. So if Dad, who loved this girl's mom and was married to her for 16 years, had sat down with this girl and the others and said, hey, I care deeply about you guys, but when we got married, we decided that my money was going to go to my kids, and so I want you to know ahead of time, it has nothing to do with that, whether I like you or whether I care about you, but I'm leaving my money to my sons, and it's substantial, but that's none of your business.
Would that be his conversation, or would that be their mother's conversation?
I think it's his.
Okay.
I think it's his, because right now, who's she angry at? Him.
Yeah.
Because she felt connected to him, and this cut her.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if he gave her $50,000 and them $4 million, and that's the gap.
She didn't say.
She didn't say.
I mean, he said he left everything to my brother and I.
That's true.
So, and which I don't even know what happened to the mom.
Right.
Did she not, the second wife not get taken care of? I don't know. Yeah. We didn't get that in the story. But the bottom line is, tell people this is what's going on. And so I've got a friend whose kid is doing drugs, and he's in his 20s. And he sat down with everybody and he said, honey, I can't leave you money. Not because I'm punishing you, but because I'll be buying you drugs.
I'll kill you.
You'll use that. Your addiction will be ramped up, and you'll have an overdose and die. And I love you, and I'm not going to fund something that brings harm to you. And so you're not going to get any money in the current version of the will. And it's not because I don't love you. It's because I do love you, and you're out of the will. And he knows that now. And your brother's the executor, and don't you say a word to him. So Dad threw his shoulders back, had a backbone, and had the discussion with a grown child drug addict while he's alive.
Yes.
So this is not a movie. This is life.
Yeah.
It's not like we have the paneled room with the trophy wife and the dysfunctional four children who come in and they are entitled and trust fund babies, and the reading of the will, and they're all shocked that the one kid who's somewhat normal gets it all. That's a movie. That doesn't happen in the real world, okay? Whatever you're doing in the real world, tell the people. That way they don't have to deal with the other people who are pissed off after you die because you were a coward and didn't tell people what was going on.
Yeah, your cowardice.
It's an act of cowardice.
Your cowardice will blow up the lives of the remaining.
That's exactly
members.
what this is.
Yeah.
If Dad had a 10-minute conversation with his grown stepkids and explained to them that he loves them, and he loved their mother, but this was my money before I came into this marriage, and so it's going to my children. You're not my children, even though I care about you. Then that would have probably handled this whole thing. And if brother had kept up with his own dadgum will and gotten it done and changed everything over. So you get divorced, change the beneficiary 3 weeks before on your 401k and your life insurance policies. Don't expect your ex-wife who hates your guts to take a $500,000 insurance proceeds and just give it to somebody because you forgot to change the beneficiary because you didn't do your job. So you've got to do these documents, people.
Yes.
It drives me nuts.
And here's the other side of it. I just yesterday sent my dad a text message. My dad's in his 70s, and I'm going to see him over Christmas. And I said, I want to go out to lunch with you, and I just want to listen. I want to hear what your picture is for the next 10 years. Where you and Mom want to live, because I think he's retiring in the next couple of years from his professor job. Where are you going to live? What do you want this to look like? And as a part of that conversation, my dad was a homicide guy. I've known where that will was since I was 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
But talking through what kind of support are y'all going to need? What kind of health challenges are y'all facing? But there are millions of senior adults that won't have that conversation you're having, but there's also millions of people my age, 30s, 40s, and 50s. If you don't know, don't just say, well, they wouldn't have the conversation. Then you need to go have the conversation. Somebody has to be an adult in this transaction, right?
Guys, 78% of Americans die without a will.
Which is insane to me.
That's stupid. It's asinine. If you're 18 years old, you need a will.
It's cruel, man.
I don't care if you own anything or not. You want the state to decide what happens to your children? Have you seen what some of these states are doing with children? You don't want these states in charge of nothing. They're morons. And so you need to be in charge of your kids. It's a will.
And there's zero correlation between making a will and a likelihood you die soon, right? That's not a thing. Talking about death might
be the opposite.
Doesn't encourage, probably.
The more we discuss my death, the better I feel. We call it the Monty Python meeting, where we sit and talk about Dave when Dave dies.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm really not dead yet. It's just a flesh wound.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm feeling better. Really, just a flesh wound.
I've Dave, over the last year on my show, I think one of the most common questions I get is, how do I do X without somebody getting mad? How do I talk about Y without them blowing up you can't control that. So I think we all, as a country, we just got to have some hard conversations. And we got to do it at our kitchen tables.
You don't have to be mean about it.
No.
My buddy, he's not mad. He is upset. He's hurt that his kid's doing drugs.
But he'd probably pay for rehab, right?
He would help him any way he can, but he's not going to give him
a blank
money in order the same amount of money everybody else. He gives him zero.
Yeah.
So, because, and he said, when you clean up, I'll change the will if I'm still here. Mm-hmm. If you don't clean up before then, you're just out.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good incentive, but we're not trying to buy something with that. We're just trying to say, this is what's going on, so don't be hurt later.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, folks, we love talking about money and life and everything else. One of our brands where we help people is a small business brand called Entree Leadership, and we coach about 10,000 small businesses around America, showing them how to run a small business, all the aspects of running a small business. And I do a podcast that we've done a podcast for about, since podcast started. It was one of the first podcasts out there. It was the first one we ever did here before we even put Ramsey on a podcast. It's called Entree Leadership Podcast. And I took it over 2 years ago, and I just take calls from small business guys and gals who call in and go, I got this team member that's doing this. I can't get my dad to do the succession plan. I'm having trouble with this marketing idea. And so we just talk business during that Entree podcast. I do it once a week. If you want to be a caller on that, go to entreleadership.com/ask or call 844-944-1070. 844-944-1070. So MamaBearLegalForms.com has been a sponsor of ours for almost a decade now. And that's a quick, easy way during the holidays. If you have an uncomplicated estate, you can knock out a will just for a few dollars and in a few minutes. And then just hand it to everybody if you want to. Merry Christmas, right? I don't know. But if you've got a complicated estate, you may need to sit down with an estate planner. Like you got a lot of money or a lot of weird stuff or something, that's fine. But if you want to knock out a quick, easy will and do all the healthcare, power of attorney, and all the right stuff, MamaBearLegalForms.com will help you.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. All right, hey, it's that time of year when it's getting a little colder, it's getting dark earlier, and sometimes we just want to stay inside and get cozy. For me, the perfect night at home when I'm trying to be cozy is me and my whole family under a bunch of big blankets watching a TV show or reading a book. Whatever your perfect night in looks like, therapy can feel a bit like that. A time when you can settle in, get cozy, replenish your energy, and take care of yourself. Therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort, especially during the chaos and rush of the holiday season or any other time of year. Taking the time to pause and be mindful is one of the reasons I recommend BetterHelp. BetterHelp is 100% online therapy with licensed therapists. You can talk with your therapist just about anywhere, so it's convenient for your schedule. You get online and you fill out a short survey, and they match you with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no extra cost. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Ramsey Radio to get 10% off your first month.
Dr. John Delony, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. The Ramsey Show question of the day is brought to you by Y Refi. We trust Y Refi because they help people who have defaulted private student loans. And they help them refinance with a low fixed interest rate that you can't get anywhere else. One guy named Chris did it. He had a student loan. He cut his payment by 40% with Y Refi. Go to yrefi.com/Ramsey. That's the letter Y, REFY.com/Ramsey. Might not be in all states.
All right, today's question comes from Jenna in Minnesota. Jenna writes, should I help my boyfriend pay off student loan debt? No. I guess we could just end it there, but I'll keep going. I know what you're going to say, so let me explain.
Still no.
We both went to college for mechanical engineering. My parents covered my tuition, but my boyfriend has over $125,000 in college loans. We both work good jobs and bring home a combined income of $200,000, but his loan payments are killing him. He didn't want to burden me with them, and he wants to put our life on hold, marriage, house, and children until they're paid off. He has about $15K in savings, and so this is going to be a long process. I have $80,000 in savings and roughly $300,000 in stocks that my grandpa set up for me when I was a kid. Should I help pay off my boyfriend's loans by adding an amount to his payment every month, pay them outright, or do you think I shouldn't help him at all?
Should you cave to his blackmail?
That's I was going to say, it's a red herring. It's a
ploy.
proxy.
It's a ploy.
Yes.
So listen, kiddo, we tell folks when they get married, everything becomes shared. So you will have a $125,000 student loan when you're married because your husband does. He will have $300,000 in stocks that his wife's grandfather left her. He will have $80,000 in savings that his wife had before they got married. And so when you get home from the honeymoon, pay off the student loan. But this is bull crap. It's bull crap.
On a stick. So frustrating.
Yeah. Tell boy child time to get, part of the problem is we're all playing house over here, so he's got no incentive to get married other than blackmail you into it. So now, if you want to have a healthy relationship, y'all get married yesterday, since you're playing house anyway. We have a combined income. You don't have a combined income. You're not married. That's bull crap. You're shacking up.
And we would not have a show if people like you didn't withdraw $125,000 from the money that their grandparents sent them to pay off a boyfriend's loans, and then y'all break up.
Oh, yeah, that's like standard.
We wouldn't have this show if that didn't happen all the time. And I know you can say, no, not us, not us.
No, he would never do that.
Yes, y'all.
The guy that won't marry me would never do that. You know how you sound? So seriously, no.
Man, don't, please don't, please don't, please don't.
Time to get married, boys and girls. Look, I think it's a good like an altar call right here. It's come to Jesus. Are we going to do this or not?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to get married, y'all come home from the honeymoon, we would tell you to take the $380,000 that you have in assets and pay off the $125,000 debt that he has, and then we take off with our life with our fabulous combined income and zero debt. And whatever's left of that money, which would still be $200,000. So, yeah.
And by the way, when you get married, what you're agreeing to do is to help carry burdens together.
For richer, for poorer.
And so if
sickness
he
and in
already
health.
says, well, I've got this thing going on, so I'm going to hide it from you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be apart from you. This will be the rest of your life. This will happen with kids. This will happen with tuition. This will happen with which church to go to. This will happen again and again and again. This is the big glaring neon
We have
sign.
to put our life on hold.
He doesn't want to burden me with them.
To put our life on hold.
Then
because-
he's not ready to marry you then.
Oh, brother.
We're not going to work together. Work together, work together.
I'm going to give this guy about 20 minutes. Get me to the church on time, baby. I'm serious. I'm done with this guy. This is bothering me for some. There's something about this that's running all over me, and I'm usually a little bit. I'm pretty mean, but I'm usually a little bit more gentle than this.
Yeah.
But this. There's something wrong, Jenna.
Here's what is getting under my skin.
Oh, I know what it is. You have worded all of this. It's all the dadgum language. That's what's killing me. You have worded all this because you have bought this freaking sales line.
That's it. That's the thing. She
That's what's
thinks
bothering
she's the
me.
problem. She thinks she is the problem here.
This guy has I'm afraid he's a con artist.
He's a leech. Yeah.
So either way, if you're going, listen, you either need to leave or you need to get married. There's no in
Please
between.
don't pay off his loans.
And don't pay off his loans unless you get married. And if you get married, then it's our loans and our money, and we'll do that. But you got about 20 minutes, buddy. About 20 minutes. Stop the sales job. Don't like con artists who are sleeping with the person they're conning. It's a problem. Dadgum salesman. Ugh. Sorry. I think I've had too much coffee, John. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, my gosh. I need to calm down. But, yeah, I think about my girls, and they did not, thank God. Thank God that we taught them how to pick, and they picked studs. So I've got two sons-in-law. They're absolutely incredible men.
I've got a young daughter, and
You would kill him.
but here's why. Here's why.
I saw you just got
I know. I do. Here's why. This young woman, Jenna, is astounding.
Yeah, she's a dadgum.
She's a mechanical engineer.
Making
She makes $100,000. She's got $500,000 already put together because her grandpa hooked her up. And she's got this guy that she loves, and the guy is making her the
Shacking her
reason.
around, yeah.
And so she's asking herself every day, what am I doing wrong? Oh, I have another way I can save this thing.
I want to help. I
Jenna,
know
it's
what
not
you're
you.
going to say, but I'm different. No,
Jenna,
you're not.
it's not you, it's him.
No,
It's
you're
him.
not.
You're worth more than this. That's what I'll say.
You're more valuable.
As the dad
than
of
this.
a daughter,
we're
you're worth
we're
more than
angry
this.
for you, kiddo. Yeah. So
Brought to you by Y-Refi and Preparation H. Because I got hemorrhoids now. God, it makes me so mad when guys are idiots.
Patrick's in Orlando. Hey, Patrick, what's up?
Hey guys, so the situation is my wife and I are 67, and we've got 2.8 million in 4 different mutual funds.
Way to go!
Debt free. Thank you. We're debt free, and we got an offer we couldn't refuse on our business. We closed December 11th. We get $575 cash, and we hold a note for 5 years for $300. So that brings me to the question, because I've got a daughter that lives in Austin, Texas, and she and her husband have been married for 20 years, and we have a beautiful grandchild, and they're saving for a house. They're also debt-free. They're doing everything right. They're both teachers, and they want to get a house. And they're saving like crazy. 2 rounds of IVF to get Julia here pretty much wiped out their savings. And they're trying to come back for that. And I'm thinking, December 11th, I collect $575. I could probably, give them the money for a pretty nice house in Austin with that $575.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one option.
Do it.
Option 2 would be
Do
to
it.
give
I
them
like
a
it.
really strong. Just do it. Just do it.
I like it. I like it. Can I add one thing to it?
Yeah.
Okay. I do want this to be a gift, and I'll teach you a technical thing you need to do. But aside from that, I do want it to be a gift without strings, sort of.
Right.
But I would sit down in person with them, you and your wife, go to dinner, and make this a big deal. This is not just a drive-by breakfast one morning coffee. Okay? We're going to a nice restaurant. We're going to make a production out of this and say, this has nothing to do with the grandkid. Although you said it 6 times that it does, but it doesn't. Okay? It shouldn't.
Yep.
It shouldn't. Because you shouldn't give it to them because of the grandkid. You should give it to them because they have been responsible and you're not bringing harm to them and you're not enabling bad behavior. Instead, you're accentuating and lifting the positive thing that they have been doing with their life, and it's going to change your family tree the rest of the way. So yes, you should do it. And I would say, I'm going to give this to you with no strings attached. I will tell you I have a favor to ask, that you promise to never borrow money again.
Love it. Love it.
And I wouldn't make it's not a contract, but I would just say, I'm doing this to change my family tree. But if you go screw that up by borrowing money, it's going to break my heart. And I would do it.
Yeah.
Now, unified estate tax credit. Talk to your tax guy. You need to use up some of your estate tax exemption so you don't have gift tax. Don't do this without tax advice. Go get some tax advice, please. This is The Ramsey Show. Mortgage rates have dropped, so if you're thinking about buying a home in the next year, contact your local Churchill mortgage team right now. If you wait, more people will be in the market competing for the same homes and potentially driving up prices. Churchill will help you do the math to be sure your budget is correct, making your home a blessing and helping you build lasting wealth. Learn more at churchillmortgage.com. churchillmortgage.com. Dr. John Delony, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host today. Thank you for joining us, America. If you haven't heard, Cyber Monday is no longer just for Mondays. It's pretty much any day of the week we want it to be, so it's just a cyber thing.
Cyber forever.
It's a cyber's forever. That's us, yeah. And apparently we lied to you when we told you it was only on Cyber Monday, and we're going to continue to lie to you until we choose not to. So that's the bad news. The good news is the store has everything on sale.
Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday. Here we go. So, yeah, Breaking Free from Broke's on sale for $12, the number one bestseller by George Camel. Building a Non-Anxious Life, the number one bestseller by Dr. John Delony, on sale for $12. Baby Steps Millionaires, Total Money Makeover, Get Clear Assessment. Audiobooks are $8, by the way. Just check it out, RamseySolutions.com/store, until we decide Cyber Monday is over. And when we decide it's over, you will have missed out. But you don't know when that's going to be, because I don't know when that's going to be. So there we go. This is The Ramsey Show. Madeline's in Atlanta. Hi, Madeline. Welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. What's up?
So, me and my fiance are just really stressed. Our debt-to-income ratio is horrible. So, we just wanted to know what steps we need to take to go in the right direction to get out of debt.
When are you getting married?
We haven't planned a date yet.
Then there's not a we.
Right. Okay.
Okay. There's not legally, morally, ethically, monetarily. We aren't in existence until we are married. And I'm not just making a statement. You literally have absolutely no rights to the other person's income, legally speaking. Okay? So you can act like you're playing house. You can act like you're married, and it doesn't change the law. The law says that your debt is your debt. Okay? Now, when you're married, that's different. So I would suggest, if you're going to be a we, that you make it a we and you run down the courthouse this weekend and get married.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long you all been engaged or dating?
About 3 years engaged.
Okay. Time to paint or get off the ladder, kid.
What do you mean?
I mean, get married.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We've been almosting a long time.
Yes, sir.
So y'all just, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, cool. So what do you make and what does he make?
So I make Annually, $38K.
Mm-hmm. What's he make?
And him annually, okay, I don't have it totaled, but $26.40 monthly.
Okay, he makes about the same you do then. Okay.
Yeah, roughly.
And how much debt do you have?
So my debt, really I only have the home loan and the...
You bought a house together.
Bought a house?
Yes, sir.
Is it your house or do you buy it together?
I'm the only one that's on the lease.
Oh, it's a lease.
Yeah, so I'm financing a mortgage loan.
Honey, that's not a lease.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Did you buy a house or are you a tenant?
I bought a home.
It's a mortgage,
in
not a
your
lease.
name. You have a mortgage. There's no lease.
Yes,
does not enter into it.
Yeah, $243,000.
Okay, and so you have a mortgage.
You bought a $240,000 house and you make $35,000 a year?
And you're 24 years old.
Oh, jeez.
On the promise that he was going to help her pay, but they're not married. And he's not on the loan.
Correct.
Yeah. This is what I've been talking about before I started talking. Okay. Now, all right. So let me, what debt does he have?
He has, in total, including his auto loan, $28,330.
Okay. So here's what I would tell you guys to do. And I don't know if you're going to do it. I can't tell from talking to you.
Will you actually do it? You sound terrified.
I kind of don't think. I don't know if you're nervous on the radio or if you're just going to go do whatever you want to do. Anyway, if you were my daughter, I would take you two knuckleheads to breakfast and bump your heads together and say, "You knuckleheads go get married this week," because you're very. Do you understand how vulnerable you are? This guy walks off, you're screwed, girl. You understand? You can't pay this house payment.
Okay.
Can you? They qualified you for it, but you can't afford this house if he gets up and leaves, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming is your relationship good?
It is.
Okay. Then I would say let's quit acting like we're married and go ahead and get married, because it's very, very important that you all do combine everything. And then what we've got is we've got a home mortgage with an $80,000 household income approximately, and he's got some consumer debt that we need to get paid off as quick as we can, and we'll walk you right through the baby steps at that point. You cut up your credit cards, we get his car loan paid off, and we take all the overtime we can, we quit eating out, we don't go on vacation, and we clean up this mess, and where you have $20,000 cash in the bank for an emergency fund and no payments but a house payment and a combined income of $80,000, you'd be in pretty good shape, right?
Yes, sir.
I can get you there in about a year if you're married. I can't get you there while y'all keep sorta doing this, because it won't work. Because the doing things in the wrong order has left our precious Madeline here unbelievably vulnerable. You will be the victim if this thing goes sideways, not him. You'll be the one that's in a mess if this thing goes sideways, not him. And you're worth more than this. And so somehow you talked yourself into, or you got talked into, or you guys together sat down and had a combined lack of brains and decided this was the right way to go, and it wasn't, because it's left you, my daughter, in a real mess, potentially.
Let's say he's not going to, break up with her, but they cut his hours. He quits his job. Or he decides, I want to go get an MBA, and he just quit. It's so exposed.
I mean, she doesn't have, it's all on her.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got a free ride now. He got someone else to buy a house that he lives in, that he gets to pay rent. Yeah.
Maybe,
yeah.
Yeah, so this is why these numbers don't work, okay? All right, guys, there's a couple of issues. We got to stop for a second because we've got just a moment here. Number one, we'll remind you that if you want to catch the next segment of the show, the third segment of the podcast is always on the Ramsey Network app, and it's completely free. Go download that for free. So the numbers, if you do just a couple of things in the right order, there's less than a 3% chance you'll be at the poverty level. And the right order is, before you do anything with building a family, you graduate from school, high school. Okay? You do not live together before married. If you don't live together before married and don't have children before married, so you do it in it's called the order, the poverty order, okay? So you graduate from high school, get married before living together and before having children, you have less than a 5% chance of being at the poverty level. That's the national statistics. Almost all of our poverty occurs when you do those things in the wrong order. And you're a 17-year-old with a baby and he takes off because we got pregnant before marriage, and so on and so on and so on. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying, if I could sit down with a 14-year-old and say, hey, you have less than a 5% chance of poverty level if you'll just do these 3 or 4 things in the right order. You set yourself up for prosperity. You want to add to this and get it down to almost 0 chance? Graduate from a 4-year degree that in a usable degree field. You want to add further to that? Do all of that with no debt. If you just do a couple of little things like that, you're down to less than a 1% chance you're going to be at the poverty level. These are controllable variables in your life. But instead, you just buy a house with somebody you're not married to. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey, what are you still doing here? You know the rest of the show's happening on the Ramsey Network app, right? So you got to jump over there to continue watching. You can download it for free. Just go to your app store, type in Ramsey Network. It's completely free, and I'll drop a link in the show notes to make it easy for you. So if you're watching on the app, you're in luck. But if you're watching anywhere else, this show is over for you. So jump onto the app and let the fun continue. All right. Go on now. Don't make it weird. Okay, I got nowhere to go, so you need to go. Okay, bye-bye now. All right, it's getting weird over there, guys. What do we do?